Hello, friends. Thank you for checking out this episode of Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark. I am super excited for what we have in store for you today. On this episode, I have UFC veteran Austin Hubbard and what he describes as some of the hardest years of his life, the past few years. He is now mounting his comeback in the UFC. He just signed a new 6-fight deal, with that first fight taking place April 27th, 2024. Nobody could tell his story better than he can, and I'm excited to share it with you today. So, without any further ado, check it out. And as always, listener discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, December 22nd is one of the most important days of the year, not only because it's my birthday, but it's also the birthday of my good friend, Austin Hubbard. Austin, how the heck are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, brother. I mean, it has been a long time since we did that first episode together. I think we recorded together for the first time in August of 2021.
Yeah. Then.
Yeah, it was right around the time of the Vince Pichel fight.
Oh, okay.
And man, a lot of life has happened in between there.
Wow.
I remember last summer I was watching that season of The Ultimate Fighter. My son and I decided to camp out in the backyard. We bought one of those projectors and we projected and watched your entire season on the side of my fence in the backyard. And I was texting you and I'm like, brother, you have been through hell and back, and I am so proud of you. It was like a late night text, and you and I ended up talking for a couple of minutes. How the heck have you been, and what have you been up to?
Oh, I've been pretty good. Yeah, I just been getting ready for this fight, April 27th. I'm out in Colorado now. I actually live in Illinois now, so that's something different, since last time we talked. When I'm at home, I just been working, helping my wife and I work for my father-in-law, her dad, so his company, and just get my fight, and I come out here, do my training camp, and go back home and do it all over again.
Well, if you're okay with it, let's kind of talk about the past few years. You were quoted as saying to actually Sports Illustrated, you were quoted as saying, the last 2 years have been the worst in my life. I feel like I was a downslope. Every time I thought it couldn't get worse, it got worse. And that was during the time that you were filming The Ultimate Fighter. Yeah. So let's kind of retrace those steps, if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Everything that happened from the Vince Pichel fight on, for my listeners that maybe don't follow the UFC as much.
Yeah. So starting with that Vince, excuse me, sorry. Starting with the Vince Pichel fight. So I lost that fight. I think it was a very close fight. But that was also one of the last fight on that contract, and UFC didn't want to re-sign me after that loss. So I was without a job. Fighting, was my main job at the time. How I supported my family, how I was paying my bills, and I kept being told, oh, we can get you a last minute fight. They'll take you back that way. Well, anyways, like I kept getting contacted for these last minute opportunities, but they just never panned out. I accepted a bunch of different opportunities, but they just didn't work out. So that was stressful. And then, then I was told, oh, let's go get 2 more wins on the regional scene. And we can get you re-signed, get back in. And, I did end up getting those 2 wins, but it took forever. Not anyone really wanted to take that fight. And so, as you can imagine, in that time frame when you're not having much income, especially out here in Denver where it's very expensive, it's getting all kinds of financial stress and debt building up. Um, yeah, and it was hard, man. I have a wife and a daughter, and actually a daughter on the way. So, um, things were getting tight financially, and we just kept having all kinds of bad luck, really. My wife and I were expecting a baby, and we lost that, which she had a miscarriage. And just I lost my brother. That was very hard. And it was just so much, like, even little things were going wrong. And I don't know, life just was really beating me up there for a minute, but it's all right. You live and you learn, you grow.
It was crazy because it took the UFC a while to release you. It was like that fight took place in August of 21, but they didn't actually release you until May of 22. And
Yeah.
then you picked up the 2 wins through XMMA and Caged Aggression. You actually won the lightweight championship for Caged Aggression. And then, like, a few months later, it gets announced that you're on the next season of The Ultimate Fighter. How
Yeah.
crazy was that?
It was super crazy because I didn't even know they were doing another season. um, I was trying to get fights, couldn't get fights. So honestly, I was kind of giving up on it. I just luckily I was in a position where I was back home and working. So I was chipping away, trying to get back on my feet financially. And um, so it was, things started to get better, I guess, so to speak, in that sense. Going back home and just starting working full time, and making money as opposed to keep building debt. But then like I said, man, I couldn't get any fights. I was like telling my manager, what about Bellator, what about PFL, like these other organizations? And for whatever reason, it just never seemed to work out. And honestly, I kind of was giving up. And then the one of the producers from The Ultimate Fighter actually called me and was like, hey, we want you on the show, or come try out. And um, it was like 2 or 3 weeks before the show was supposed to start when they called me. Yeah. So, I wasn't in the best of space mentally for when I got that call. And honestly, I was like, man, I don't know. I'm just going through some stuff. I don't know if I'm in the right mindset for this. And at the end of the day, I knew I couldn't pass that up. I knew that was I just had to suck up whatever I was going through and do my best. And fortunately enough, I was able to make it to the finals, and put on a decent enough showing. Got a 6 fight contract with the UFC, and here I am again. So
I love that, man. And I love the trajectory of the Cinderella story. Kind of walking into that season of The Ultimate Fighter. Truth be told, you have two of the biggest coaches of all time on your season with Michael Chandler and
yeah,
Conor McGregor. What was that experience like? Because you're no stranger in working in a room full of killers.
yeah,
Like, let's not lie. I went and I saw you guys about a year and a half ago. I sat next to Justin Gaethje and watched everybody train. Justin's ribbon on Curtis Blades. You had Neil Magny across the room. You're in there training. Zach's in there training. Like, you're no stranger to working around high level talent.
yeah.
How was it different working with somebody like Michael Chandler and being in the presence of the one and only almighty Conor McGregor?
Yeah. It was cool, man. It's always nice. Chandler brought in really good coaches, and he's a really good dude. So I was very thankful to be a part of his team. And it's always nice to get work with any high level athlete and coach. Just hear different perspectives and get a different look, and things along those lines. And then meeting Connor was interesting too. You he he's gotten himself to such a level that he can do whatever he wants, and he does exactly whatever he wants. Um, he's
Yeah.
cool. One night he'd be very cool, down to earth, inspirational to us, and the next he's trying to start fights. So, he's just an interesting man. And like I said, he's gotten himself to that level to where he can, do whatever he wants and gets away with it for the most part. So good for him.
What's crazy about that is, as we are recording this episode, I think the UFC is doing a press conference tonight where they're gonna finally officially announce that fight.
Oh, awesome.
So I kind of read it online someplace, and it
Yeah.
was credible. So this fight that you have coming up on April 27th, let's talk a little bit about that and a little bit about your preparation for that fight.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a very interesting fight. We're both coming off of losses, so I'm in my mind, I'm making it. He don't want to lose again. I don't want to lose again. He's a very aggressive striker. He comes forward hard and he's throwing to put your lights out. And I feel like I fight the same way. I always go forward, and I'm just looking to turn it into a dog fight. So I think it has potential fight of the night written all over it. And I'm gonna speak it into existence. Try getting that extra 50K bonus before this baby gets here.
Hell
Um,
yeah, man.
yeah, but
I love that. I love
he
that.
he's young, he's hungry. He doesn't want to go 0-2, and shit, I don't want to start my contract 0-2. So, I think it's just making for a great fight. Um, he's relatively younger. As he's I think 27. He's 8-1. Um, that being said, he has fought some decent people, but I just feel like I have a big experience factor. I think I'm a little more well rounded, but it's gonna be a hard fight. It's gonna be a fun fight, and I've been super focused this camp. Really a lot more focused than I've been in a while. I really want to get a win and bring home 2 checks and possibly 3, and have my baby. My baby's due 4 or 5 weeks after the fight. So yeah, she could come any day thereafter. So I'm just super excited. I feel like as hard as the last 2 years has been, I'm this start of this year. I got this fight, and then my baby on the way, and things are getting better. So I'm finally crawling out of that dark hole I was in, and it does feel good.
You know, I not to because I say this with every piece of empathy in mind, because and I couldn't parallel what I've gone through the past few years to what you've gone through, but I think we all kind of have our own version of that story
Yeah,
over the past 3 to 4 years, and I can't explain it in any way, shape, or form. Like I feel the same thing that I imagine you're feeling right now, is kind of like the phoenix rising back from the ashes, and
yeah,
like the world is kind of righting itself in 2024 in ways that maybe 21, 22, and 23 didn't. With
yeah,
all of that said, going into a new 6 fight contract, which is actually, that's a lot of fights for a new
yeah.
contract. um how has your mindset changed with how you're going to approach it this time?
Um, you know, I, mm, I don't know. My mindset's still the same. I'm just gonna go out there and train hard, work hard, stay focused, and try winning all these fights that I can, and make as much money as I can for my family, and give them a life that they deserve. Um, that's really my only goal with it. I mean, obviously, it's great to. Well, if you're winning, you're obviously rising. So that's what I'm trying to do as well. Win, rise up in the rankings, make money for my family, and just live a good life.
So let's say everything goes as planned. I know it's going to go as planned. I'm going to speak it into existence. We're friends.
Yeah.
So I can say this. Everything goes as planned. Who's that guy that you're going to call out after the fight's over?
I've never called out anyone.
There's time to change,
Yeah,
Austin.
I don't know. I really care who I fight. I've never have cared. I literally fight whoever. I don't give a shit. It's my job. Up. I'm not a matchmaker, so whoever wants to fight, I'll fight. Whoever the UFC wants me to fight, I'll fight. Whoever the fans want me to fight, I'll fight. So it don't matter to me.
Who are some people that you are watching in your division? Like some upstart fighters, or maybe some people that have been there for a while that you haven't had the opportunity to cross paths with?
I'm really any time I'm watching a UFC card and I see lightweight, I'm always watching. So, you never know what name might come across and what fight might happen. So I try to pay attention to all of it. In my division, well, just in general as well. I'm also a huge fan of watching the fights. Um, so yeah, I every time any lightweights fight, and I'm paying attention. So just
I got you. I
getting
got you.
notes, getting motivation, getting nerves, all that. So, yeah.
So, did your wife make the trip back to Colorado with you while you train, or is she back in Illinois?
She's back in Illinois, and she's pretty far along now. So traveling for her is difficult. So, it's been I'm gonna be out here a total of 7 weeks for camp. I came out, to work with Justin and try helping him with his camp, and so I came out a little bit earlier than I originally was planning. But yeah, it's been hard. It was really hard to leave this time. I she's pregnant and I feel like I need to be there to help her, and she's such a trooper and very encouraging of me on this path, and you know supports me. So it's good in that sense, that it doesn't create any like animosity of leaving or anything like that. But nonetheless, it's very hard. I hardest has been obviously to leave this time for a camp. I truly didn't really want to. Uh, I felt really bad. I feel like I'd be there to help, but I guess in the same sense, being out here getting prepared is helping my family in the end. So we're both, keeping the eye on the prize.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, how stir crazy have you been? Like, has she called you at any random time of the night where you're like, oh shit, it's happening early? Has that happened?
No, no, not yet.
Oh,
Luckily, I
oh,
think,
you're lucky. You're
yeah,
lucky,
I think
brother.
we're far enough away right now, and that we won't have to worry about too early. The due date's June 3rd, so um I don't know. Like I said, I have a 5 week window once I get back, and hopefully it won't happen before that.
Dude, I remember both times with both of we've talked before, but I've got twin stepdaughters, and then I've got two kids from my first marriage. And both times when my ex-wife was pregnant, I swore to God my kids were going to come early. I'm like, they have my sense of punctuality. Like if you're, my whole thought and mindset is if you're early, you're on time, but if you're on time, you're late. So I
Yeah.
thought my kids would be the same exact way. Both of my kids came exactly on their due date.
Oh, really?
Exactly. It was insane.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm hoping she comes a little early. Like
I yeah, dude.
mid end of May, I'll be ready, and I'll be super excited for her to get here. So I wouldn't mind a little early, long as it's not before the fight.
Right. Right, exactly. So, I have noticed, and you mentioned it kind of in passing, uh you've been getting a lot of prep time and sparring time with Justin. How has that kind of sharpened him for this weekend? We're recording this ahead of UFC 300 to my listeners that don't know. How has that helped sharpen him, and how has it also helped sharpen you in preparation for your fight?
um, I would hope it has helped him. It's truly has helped me. He's we've been training together shit for 7 years ish, going on. And he's I mean, look, he's literally the most entertaining fighter in the world in the lightweight division, especially. And he's accomplished great things. He has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge of the game in and out of the cage. And he's helped me a ton, both mentally, physically, preparing me for the fight, and hopefully I help him as well.
And I absolutely love that. And the thing is like, he's a great dude too. Like, my best friend and I sat down and we had a great conversation with him whenever we came out and saw you guys a year and a half or so back. But the thing is you're also awesome. Don't sell yourself short, brother, because you are entertaining as hell to watch. And
I
I
appreciate it.
actually this after yeah, man, I actually sat down this afternoon and I was kind of just making my notes for this episode, and I went through YouTube and I watched a bunch of your past fights, and I was like, man, I love that guy. He is you are one of my favorite people that I could just randomly message and be like, hey man, how's things going? And then I've always loved that about you. So I don't want to go into too deep waters, but as you had mentioned, you have lost your brother in the past couple of years. I was it 2 years ago, year and a half ago at this point.
Yeah, it was so the week before the finals fight, back in August was his 1 year anniversary.
Yes, yes. How has that redefined your purpose in life, and what kind of inspiration have you taken from having had your brother in your life, moving forward, not only in the fight game, but as it applies to Austin Hubbard, the man?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a weird thing. I don't know if it's good or bad. Like, I can't even tell you how little I care about certain things anymore. Like, I just things are just aren't the same. It's it was real dark, for a long time. And it's still hard, but it's not. It's getting better. I'm starting to see the light out of the end of the tunnel. Um, I don't know. It's it's hard to explain. I He was literally like my best friend. We did everything together growing up. We were always super close. It's just hard without him, and I don't even remotely feel like the same person anymore. And like I said, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Um, just gotta go forward the best I can.
It's grief is kind of crazy because it creeps up on you during the most unexpected times.
Yeah,
About a little over a year ago, I lost a friend, and he had taken his own life. And 6 months later, my father passes away,
yeah,
and I hadn't talked to my dad in years. We had kind of this disassociated relationship, and I think about how those two things occurring in such close proximity have impacted the way I view things and the things that I care about. Like, I used to get hung up on little pointless shit.
yeah,
Like, maybe somebody trash talking, I would focus on that. Or maybe I would participate in somebody's negative speak. And I've found that I've really kind of reset myself and focused on the things that matter. And
yeah,
I found that you kind of emitted a same sensibility throughout last season of Ultimate Fighter whenever this topic did come up, and like the topic of your character came up. It almost feels like you have a renewed sense of purpose. Am I off base with that at
no,
all?
yeah. That's definitely fair to say. Um, I definitely feel strongly in like my family, my wife, my daughters, and that my wife helped me out immensely. I you know if I don't know, I would still be in that dark hole without her, I think. And believe it or not, crazy enough, oddly enough, she lost her brother as well. Um, so she kind of, you know, knew how to help me through that. And yeah, they mean a lot to me, and they definitely give me a lot of purpose and going forward. Being a good father, good husband, providing for them. All those sorts of things. Just I always try being a good person, but it's when you I don't know. It's I just wish the world would not be so crazy sometimes. and what I've come to realize is you can't make any changes till you make the changes within yourself. Move forward the way you want to move, and then you start with projecting out to your family, and then further on from your family into your community, and you just keep growing. But everything has got to start with yourself first, and I feel like I've gone through somewhat of a, I guess you can call it, spiritual awakening type of thing, where you know I, I just, and it probably helps having baby on the way, and a daughter already here, and nephews and nieces, where I just want to be a good role model. I want to, the world's crazy, right? So it's like I want to give people some hope, give people something to look up to, some inspiration, all those sorts of things. And that all starts with being truthful and honest with yourself, and like I said, project working onward from there. So that's just something I try to live by. And you know
I love that, man. I absolutely love that. And that's so funny because I say that about the podcast in the same exact regard. It's like, look, okay, I'm gonna have like a UFC fighter or a famous musician on the show, but that's a Trojan horse, realistically, man. It's about the person. And it's about like doing my part, taking politics and the shit that divides us out of the picture and just amplify the positivity and the positive change that we can make in the world as individuals.
yeah,
And it really does start with us trying to better ourselves first, because it's pointless if we
yeah,
don't fix ourselves, we can't fix other people.
yeah. You can't build a foundation off of a lie or anything like that. You know what I mean? You got, I feel like, truly live by what you're trying to do, so for it to actually work. So
Yeah, for sure. So now I got to figure out where I'm going to run into you again. Do I have to come out to Sterling, Illinois, or do I have to come out next time you train for the next fight in Colorado? So I get a chance to high five my friend Austin Hubbard again.
I don't know, you might have to try hitting both spots. I actually live in Dixon. I'm from Sterling, but I live in Dixon. It's like 15
Oh,
minutes
okay,
away
I
from
gotcha.
Sterling.
So any other big plans other than a new baby for this summer and the rest of 2024?
No, just the baby and getting ready for that, and then once she gets here, trying to raise a newborn baby.
Yeah, it's gonna
uh,
take up all your time, bro.
yeah, my daughter now, she's technically my stepdaughter, so I haven't got to actually experience the newborn baby stage. So I'm a little nervous because it's new to me. I haven't done it. But it's gonna be fun, and I'm very fortunate to have my daughter now, because she's 14 and she's super excited. She's at that perfect age to where she'll be able to help us, and my
Yeah.
already gone through it, so I know I have good backup, that's for sure.
Dude, you know what's funny? As a father of teenage girls myself, I'm gonna tell you there's not much difference sometimes between the temperament of a teenage girl and a newborn. So like I I'm excited for you, but I feel sorry for you at the same exact time.
it we also, my family, my parents and sister, and then her family as well, they're all very involved, like family and cousins and things like that, so I feel pretty good about everything, at least.
I love it. I love it. Man, I tell you what, Austin, it's always a pleasure. You know, you can message me at any time just to talk shop, talk shit, whatever. I'm glad we're friends, man. The world's a much better place with you in it, my friend.
I appreciate it, man. It's good talking to you.